Test 1, 2.
Okay, what's doing that? Testing, test. Had the master up a couple of too hot. Is this sign past its prime?
Looks a little tattered.
Yeah, it just doesn't look all that professional.
What is that from? Graduation?
It's something some program did. They tacked it up there, and nobody else has wanted to make the decision to take it down. Okay, now, if we take this sign and fold it over and put it on there, that would be about the right size. All right.
Yeah, you're right. I'll have to ask Mr. Clausen where he got that from. He may have more.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
It's still ringing. What's the problem?
Check. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check.
I keep forgetting to bring my drill and route those wires through the electric.
Test. Test. 1, 2.
We had a 100-foot cat. Can I steal that out of the cabinet here?
What?
I said there was an old 100-foot cat in the
Sure.
cabinet. What I'm thinking is that wire that's going to the phone, I could probably back that down, and it would have enough leash to, get to the back counter. I mean, it comes right up beside there.
Okay.
Instead of running a wire down and back up, that'd be a more reliable way of doing it.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay, it's 23 and a half.
What, about an inch on either side?
It's an inch too big.
We can trim the sides.
We can trim the sides. Just we have to be. My imagination, or is this Woodland Hills on a slant? Is that slanted a little bit?
No.
17. Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, 16. Not much, but it's slight slant. So we need to. If we trim it, we need to trim it square. If you ever need it, there's a big heavy-duty paper cutter back there on the
I
counter.
saw that.
This is probably an old somebody. Come on, Charles, you need better diagonal cutters. Not even that.
Sorry.
Put 'em in there.
Going long ones.
Shouldn't be that good. That's Harbor Freight.
You want some of that coffee now? Look in there.
This is on from the last. Put the lid back on so nobody else looks in there. I have to mention that to Charles.
Yeah.
I did tell you he's not going to be here tonight. He's on a full gun through getting these rooms and the other halls ready to go. So if I run the wire out of the back of the phone, I can run it up and put it in that router.
And there'll be a 100 meg connection.
I think it's the identical router that they have up there in Comcast. I should be able to just plug it into there, right?
As long as not Comcast isn't in it. Because there'll be a WAN side from them, so make sure that that WAN is disconnected from Comcast.
Yeah. I was assuming that our feed was out. So when the DTAs didn't come up, I didn't start work on the Comcast modem yet.
Got your,
I'm not hearing it. Sounds like it's blowing, but I don't feel any vibration or hear anything in the wall. That's all the problem.
yeah. You got your NASA approved glasses.
He came home for 2 days. He came home. My daughter turned 18, so he came home for her birthday. I couldn't wait for him to go back.
Okay.
They know everything. Just wait, Andre. When they come back from college, they know everything.
Good evening, everybody. We'd like to call to order the August 9th, 2017 agenda-setting meeting for the Woodland Hills Board of Directors, please. Can we have a roll call, please? Julie, thank you.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Kuhn? Ms. Glasser? Mr. Hanchett?
Here.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Here.
Mr. Tomasic? Mr. Belmont?
Here. All rise for the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to silence everybody staying healthy. No.
All right, moving right along, we'll go to registered speakers. Julie, do we have anybody speaking tonight?
We do not, Mr. Belmont.
Okay.
So we'll go right to board matters then. And action item 2.1, recommend the appointment of Ms. Charday Seligson to fill the unexpired term of Ms. Tara Reese as a Region 1 representative to the Board of School Directors of the Woodland Hills School District, beginning with the August 2017 legislative meeting through the November of 2017 legislative meeting. So Ms. Seligson is here, so welcome aboard. That'll happen next week. Moving to special education. Action item 4.1, approval to contract with Interim Healthcare of Pittsburgh for the 17-18 school year in the amount of $52,920. That is for a medically fragile student that requires full-time nursing care. Action item, we'll move to personnel, action item 6.1, and those items are in your on your attachment there, as you can see. We discussed some of these in executive. There's no questions. We can move on to action, or to, I'm sorry, I keep saying action, to Section 9, Food Service Transportation. Action item 9.1, request permission to purchase 10 point-of-sale machines, point-of-sale licenses, and 15 pin pad scanners, and 9 cash drawers for the district's cafeterias at a cost not to exceed $22,727.50. These are on the PEPM bid list, so they're not required to be bid. Any questions on that?
Just, Mr. Johnson, if we could just get information on the tabs about where the funds are coming from for expenditures, that would be great.
It comes from the food service fund. I don't know if there's a specific account, Mike, but can we put that in there or what?
It'll just be the food service fund.
That's fine.
Their equipment.
I just think it would be helpful for us to know which fund it's coming from.
Yeah.
I
didn't notice.
That's not a Fund 10, is it? That's a different.
Fund 50,
Okay, so that's the one I didn't know.
general fund.
Thank you.
We'll modify that to include that.
Thanks. If we can, make that a regular thing for expenditures, that would be great.
And quickly, can we just talk about briefly why we are buying 10 machines? So
Sure. These are the machines that are used in our cafeterias to make sales to children for lunches, typically for a la carte items and for other things. The ones we have right now are old machines, and the biggest weakness is they're running Windows 7 and Windows XP in some cases, and Microsoft no longer supports the spyware, antivirus, and firewall applications for those operating systems. So when you have them, you're not protected. They're extremely vulnerable to attack. There's a lot of sensitive information on there, including kids in their lunch-free and reduced lunch status. So it's a real safety issue. They also, because of their age, run slow because the software has gotten bloated and bulkier. So the machines we're upgrading to are Windows 10. Admission will be a lot quicker for the kids. It'll also, primarily, the main reason is they'll be a lot more secure from viral attacks and spyware and all those different things. Because the ones we have right now are no longer protected.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? So that takes us to buildings and grounds. Action item 10.1, request approval of change order number 1 for A. Liberoni Incorporated for administrative building paving project. We had to add a drain to the back of that. the prices, I should have had that on the tab, I'm sorry. The total price of that was $8,285.49. That was any questions on that? If not, then we'll go to action item 10.2, request permission to accept change order 001 from Sport Floors for $1,500 for additional paint due to larger logos and end zones at the high school gym floor. We're just up there today, Ms. Lentz and I. The gym floor at high school looks just superb. I'm very excited about it.
I just saw that myself, and I think they did a really cool thing. So they kind of they shaded it a little bit darker inside the 3-point arc, and the rest of it looks like more like that. It looks really nice. They did a nice job. It looks, yeah, right inside inside the 3-point arc, and then like with a foul line, that's still like it looks like natural wood, but they shade a little bit darker. They did a nice job. It looks really nice.
I wanted to go to a parquet floor like they have in Boston, but I was told that would be rather expensive.
Yes.
Alicia, did you want to add anything to that? I know this is your...
Well, just in the board tab, it's not an end zone in basketball, it's baseline.
Yeah.
So we'll change that. And, yeah, it's amazing.
I didn't write that tab, by
I
the
know you
way.
didn't write that
So
tab.
don't blame me.
I wrote the
That's Julie. And her son only plays football.
Football,
So
right?
it's fine. But, no, it's amazing. And the logo will now match the soccer field and the Wool Arena. So we
Great.
kind of have uniform. But it is amazing. When you guys see it, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice. All right, if no other questions on that, we'll go to 10.3 and request permission for the use of facilities by outside organizations for the 17-18 school year. That is attached. One of the things that we are doing, just to let you know, and this, Mr. Finney, the new physical plant director, is coming on Monday, will be his first day. And Mr. Corsi still getting his feet wet. We've held back on a number of requests, and I'm going to have Mr. Finney, Mr. Corsi, Ms. Lentz, Mr. Gigliotti, myself meet and try to come up with a better way to handle these facilities usage, because we had one where somebody was essentially requesting the basketball courts in every single building every single day from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, essentially just trying to corner the market on the basketball courts. I don't think we can have that. That's not really appropriate. So we need to find a way to vet these better. But that really is, I think, Mr. Finney and Mr. Corsi need a lot of input on that. So we are working to try to streamline that a little better. But the ones we have in here now are appropriate, and we do recommend their passage.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I asked you this before when the ATV truck first showed up at high school. Did we figure out that Churchill had to get licensed from Churchill self on our, just to make sure we're good? I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm happy to have it up there, but
We don't. Our one brief discussion I had with the solicitor, and he had to leave, but was that there was no licensing that we had to do. He just simply had to verify that the food truck was
I mean, that has to be inspected by
approved.
the county, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's inspected by the county. As long as that was the case,
Okay.
it was a straight-up issue of use of facilities.
Park it, okay.
And as long as we were consistent with our policy, it was up to us.
Okay.
So, and I assume he is. I think he's a pretty reputable gentleman, so I believe his.
I'm just saying.
No, I mean that's a legitimate question. We will. I will double check that, but I'm pretty
I don't
sure.
want to get sued if someone gets food poisoning on the food
He's a
truck
big
on
guy.
our
I'll tell
property.
him you asked that.
No, it's the correct question. Anything else on the
It's been
facilities
inspected.
usage?
It's been inspected by the health department.
Okay, there you go.
So you know.
So after that,
Stickers
then
on the
everything
window.
is just up to us.
What was that?
The stickers on the window.
Thanks.
There you go.
Obviously, Andre's been eating there.
Any other questions on that? If not, we'll go to action item 10.4. Request approval of proposal from Man Construction for emergency repair to the home bleacher steps at the stadium. The expected total cost now will be about $25,000. It's going to come from the Capital Project Fund 39. This was an add-on. I really think there's probably an oversight. I think the board wanted this done, and it didn't get included in the original specs. So that's our bad, and I apologize for that. But we are addressing this. Will do a lot of really good repairs that were needed to the home bleacher side, and it's underway now.
I went down there and looked at it today, and they're getting pretty far along, but it looks a lot better, a lot safer. I mean, there is huge chunks missing.
They are using a better product for that type of patch that will last longer than what was used. I guess they just used cement in the past, but there's a special product that will bond and adhere act as an adhesive to the existing steps so it doesn't crumble.
Yeah. So literally just used off-the-shelf Portland last time, and that does not act as a patch very well. So the stuff that they have now has, I guess, a fiberglass matrix in it, designed for that kind of application, and should hold for quite a while. So no other questions on that? Everybody all right with that? We can move on to Section 11 and the legal matters. And action item 11.1, and actually we just covered all their first three, 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, will be permission to approve student adjudications, 13, 14, and 15. I would point out that I think at the end of the year, Julie and Alicia, we ended up with less than 2 expulsions. We had 15, out of school expulsions. We had 15 adjudications. The majority of the adjudications ended up in a decision other than an expulsion, and we only ended up with 2 students that actually were expelled from school, compared to 15, 16, when the number was closer to 70. So we made really substantive progress, A, in finding alternatives to suspension, because we reduced the number of hearings from almost 80 down to 15, and B, the actual numbers of expulsions were reduced again from probably 50 or 60 of that 79 that were expelled down to 2 that ended up. Now, 2 is too many, but 2 is a lot better than 80. So if there's no questions on that, we'd have to executive anyway. Go to action item 11.4. Motion to approve settlement of tax appeals involving PCE partners, including Allegheny Bank. This is Penn Center East. That was discussed briefly in executive. The actual agreement will be in next week's agenda. Mr. Vogel doesn't have it ready yet. So do you have any questions about that I can relay to him? If not, we'll move on to school finance. Action item 12.1. Request ratification of the bill list for invoices paid after the July 19th legislative meeting. Any questions on any of those? Action item 12.2, request approval of the August 2017 bill list. Any questions on any of those? Okay. Action item 12.3 will be to request the acceptance of the July 2017 fund reports for informational purposes. Do you have any questions on that? Action item 12.4 will be to request approval of the investment reports for July of 2017. Remember, almost all of our investments are handled through the, I was going to say Pliget, but it's not Pliget, Mike, it's PillsDAF, right?
Pliget and Peaslap.
Oh, it's Pliget and
Pliget and Peaslap.
So we really don't do a lot of outside investments, but they handle our investments quite nicely. If no questions, action on 12.5 will be to request the acceptance of the July 2017 student activity reports for informational purposes. Action item 12.6 would be request permission to remove the lien on block and lot 375-P-108 for the year 2006. That was a property in East Pittsburgh that was taxed and apparently shouldn't have been. The relevant facts contain probably the better description than I could give. So any questions on that? Action on 12.7 will be request the approval of the Eastern Area Schools Joint Committee Resolutions 2017-1 and 2017-2 for voting by mail ballot in the 2017-2018 budget. So that's basically you're approving, Mike, if I got that correct, you're approving the 2017-18 budget for Eastern Area Schools?
Yes.
That budget's attached. It, I don't believe, represents an increase from last year, does it?
Wait, where is it? Yes, it's down there. I forgot to look.
It's.
I've been wanting to, and I just didn't get
Our
it.
share is $89,000, which, considering the number of kids we have there, is a pretty reasonable figure, and I don't believe it represents an increase, but we can check that. If there are no questions on that, we go to action item 12.8. We request approval of the PA Municipal Service Company addendum regarding changes in their office hours. Mike, can you know that from better than I do, can you address that real quickly?
Yeah, they had produced an addendum. They want to change their hours from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday to 9 to 4. And it is an addendum to the existing contract, so you'll have to approve it because it is an addendum.
we would recommend approval. I did discuss that with Mike, whether that's going to have any fiscal impact on us, and we don't believe that it's going to impact our, this is a shared service between many school districts in Allegheny County. We don't think this is going to adversely impact revenues. Is that fair to say, Mike?
I don't think it will.
So we don't see any reason not to approve that addendum. If there are no questions on that, we can move right along to Section 13, the Assistant Superintendent, and Action Item 13.1, just to request the approval of the agreement with Project Grad to operate the College and Career Access Center at the Woodland Hills Junior Senior High School for the 17-18 school year. It took some blood, sweat, toil, and tears, but we were able to find the funds ourselves to continue operating the College and Career Access Center. The personnel were reduced from 2 to 1, however. The way we normally do this, just for everybody in the crowd too, the district contracts this service through a group called Project Grad, which I believe is out of Texas. And for a while, for a long time, Project Grad ran that as a grant. The grant funds ran out several years ago. We were successful in finding some local grants to continue to fund it. And then last year, I think was the first year we had to come up with local revenues, but we still had some supplemental grant funds. And this year we have not been able to secure additional grant funding for it. But you should point out that in the 16-17 school year, I think they set a record for scholarship monies at $3 million? Over $5 million in scholarship monies awarded to students at the high school through the efforts of the Career Access Center, College and Career Access Center. So it's certainly a worthwhile service. We've slimmed the budget down to the minimum. It's about $123,000, I think, which will include the salary benefits for the director, tutoring, bus trips, other materials.
Yeah, more college tours and more technology for the kids. So we were able to kind of do more with less.
And essentially Project Grad, even though they used to be the funding agent, agreed to continue to operate it as a contractor now for us. So we would strongly recommend supporting this. It's a great service to our kids. Anybody have any questions about that? Or
Well, I can just say I think that's a service that maybe our parents and our students don't have. I know I went there myself to help when my son went to his school. They were instrumental in when my son was going to school and to help us to get even more money as far as, 2 schools who wanted my son get an extra $4,000 a year off his tuition for college, which, that's a fair amount of money. And other also for questions that I have, because I don't, trying to figure out the funding for college and everything for my oldest, and I have 2 more going in. And Ms. D'Amico was very helpful as far as to help me what are the choices I have, who would I need to contact, and it's not anything I do. She was able to give me all the information. So, and it's available. I know she has information for everybody. Not because I understand college is not meant for everybody, but there are other options for other people too if they decide maybe if they want to be an auto mechanic or an electrician or plumber. Where are places you need to go and find out? So she has access for everybody who leaves here. Where if you have an interest in a school, she has contacts for you and where to get information on that. Where so rather than just flying blindly, she's very good as far as to help people, especially our students, to get to where they need to go.
Yeah. It's good service, and I should mention that the employment of the director is a decision of Project Grad, not us. Presumably, they do it in concert with us, and we will certainly recommend it be Ms. D'Amico. But the decision is theirs, as our responsibility for setting the salary and benefits. We only provide a lump sum. Salary and benefits for the position come through Project Grad. So she is not an employee of the Woodland Hills School District. She's an employee of Project Grad, and they will set her compensation through limited by what we required of the contracts. Any other questions on that?
I don't know. When I went to school back in the dark ages, our guidance counselors did all that, and we have how many of them at the high school? 4? 5. So perhaps we had to cut staff there. Our guidance counselors could kick in and maybe learn a thing, too, from her to...
ease the load.
Yeah, one thing that has to happen, and you're correct in pointing it out, that it's been a failing, and it's something that needs to be addressed, is the guidance function at the high school. I don't want to be careful how I always say this. I'm not criticizing them individually, but as a department, there certainly have some concerns, and we need to address that. And I think your point is well taken. And I know Ms. Lenson knows that that's one of my expectations for improvement this year at the high school. One of many, but that's one of the principal ones. All right, if there's no other questions about that, we'll go on to 14. Action item 14.1, this is approval to accept a grant from the Heinz Endowment in the amount of $50,000 for the Living Well Healthy Lifestyles program at the junior senior high school. This is again the program that I am really getting senile. I forgot her name. Miss Kennedy. Nurse Kennedy, yeah. I just did that on TV too. I'm sorry, Andrea. I know your name. She's done this. I mean, we've got this every year since I've been here. This is one of our longest running and most consistent grant programs, and it's great. So we'd strongly recommend accepting that. Any questions on that? Action item 14.2 would be approval to renew Kat Harper's contract as a Living Well consultant, being paid under the Heinz Healthy Lifestyle Grant. Get the total compensation, I believe, is $3,000, I believe, that would come from this grant. Any questions on that? Action item 14.3 would be seek your approval of the 2017-2018 organizational chart. I have that as an attachment. It's significantly changed from last year because we did not replace those administrative positions. We did not replace the assistant to the superintendent for special education, the assistant to the superintendent for family engagement, and the assistant to the superintendent for sports service. All three of those positions were eliminated, and we consolidated the duties under other administrators. So now, as direct reports to me, there really only are the assistant superintendent, the business manager, and the director of human resources are now my only direct reports. So Mike, for example, has picked up food service and transportation under his management. Leisha has picked up pupil personnel, special education, and what am I forgetting, Leisha? I think that's it, basically, that you didn't have last year. Oh, and IT, which formerly had been under Mr. Chessman. So we did a lot of consolidating at the top levels of the administrative team, and that's reflected in the chart. So as soon as you approve this, we'll obviously for the public put this on the website. Actually, we'll put it on now so they can see it. It should be on board docs anyway, though. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Action item 14.4 is to approve the agreement with Rankin Borough for school resource officer services. The hourly rate is increased to $23.70 an hour. However, we have, I think, really an excellent relationship with Rankin Borough, probably one of our best ones in terms of working with them. No disrespect to the other departments, but we really work very well with Rankin Borough, Chief Wooten and Sergeant Vallis. So even though there is a bit of an increase, I would strongly recommend our approving that agreement. They provide yeoman service at Rankin Promise for us. Any questions on that? And action item 14.5. If you recall, in the spring, I had Bridget Clement from Communities and Schools in here to give you a presentation on the Community and Schools implementation at the Woodland Hills Intermediate School. You authorized them to do a survey, which they completed. We met with them over that survey during the summer. Their recommendation coming out of the survey was that we employ a site manager, and I can get real detailed, but I'd rather wait till next week. In essence, what they're suggesting is that we would employ through them a site manager to work at Woodland Hills Intermediate. That site manager would have a number of key tasks. Most importantly is community relations and building parent relations from the intermediate school. but it's also working directly with families to provide needed social, medical, mental health, behavioral health services. We do all that already. We understand that. These are going to be for those cases where, what's happened in the past typically is our social workers are really heavily involved in all the kids. There will be the 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10 that we just struggle because we're having difficulty making parent contacts and getting that parent relationship. They would pick up that. They would also work to build relationships in the Woodland Hills community with the intermediate school, which we've identified as a school that needs that service. The only disadvantage of this is at the time in the spring when we talked about it, I said I believe that there was grant funding that could cover the cost. There is some grant funding, but we only got $15,000 in grant funding for it. The cost is $73,000, so we would need to pick up the balance of $48,000. Now, we did budget money in purchase services for this. We budgeted enough money to cover that. But it really is your decision. I would recommend we do this. I know that I've interfaced with the Department of Human Services a lot, and they highly recommend community and schools. We had them in, and they met with the intermediate school administration, and we think we have a pretty good game plan. Bridget Clement is a director of community and schools, and I've invited her to come here next week, and she will address the board on exactly what they will do. But the proposal is also attached to the board tab. So we didn't get full grant funding for it, but we got a significant amount of grant funding, and I would recommend that we pick up the rest. But any questions on that?
I think there's a math error or a typo potentially in the.
Oh, that's
58,000.
58,000. Sorry.
That's okay. We'll need to correct that.
Yeah, I was a bit on my bad. Sorry.
Oh, that was it too. I'm just looking at it.
I was a chemistry teacher, and my experiments often didn't go well, and now you know why. Anyway, if there's any questions, again, Bridget will be here next week and talk about it. I really support this program. Community and Schools is one of those organizations that is really effective at helping to reconnect schools with their community, and I think it's intermediate. And listen, I'd love to do it at all of our schools, but we had to start somewhere, in the intermediate school really seems like it struggles the most with that. And so I think this will be an excellent program. So if that's no other question on that, that's all I have. Mr. Belmont?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. We held an executive session prior to tonight's meeting. Is there anything under old business? Anybody have anything under new business? At this point, we'll move on to public comment. If you'd like to come up to the speaker, please give your name, address, and if you could hold your comments to 2 minutes, we would appreciate that. Would anybody like to come forward? No takers. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think everyone's.
Oh, did you want to?
Testing. My name is Mark Thornton. I live at 2327 Hawthorne Avenue. My son is coming from Woodland Hills Academy, and I was deployed last year, so I'm trying to get caught up on some of the concerns that I've seen on TV while I was away. He's coming to the 9th grade, so this will be his first time at the high school. What concerns from the community, from the things that I've seen, have been taken away and has been assured that my son is going to receive a quality education here and a safe education. So that was my only question of some of the things that I've seen, what has been addressed and what is still out and open that still needs to be addressed.
Well, why don't we just arrange to meet after the meeting and we'll sit down and talk about that, and I'll answer any question. I can take you to the high school and show you anything you want to see. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else? All right, one more time. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much.